healthy and beautiful. I will love the land, the air, the water, and all living creatures. I will be a defender of my planet, united with friends. I will save the earth.
My name is Commissioner Frank Avila. I'm a commissioner at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. And the name of our show today is Giving Children an Engineering Experience. And as my guest, I have Elenora Chakraborty. She's a biomedical engineer.
Yes.
Thanks for being on my show, Elenora. And also I have Bob Johnson. He's a structural engineer and an activist for the STEM program. Thanks for being on my show, Bob.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank
Great
you.
to be here.
Yes. You know, Bob, let's go to you first, Bob. What is an activist STEM, and what is STEM?
STEM is an acronym that stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math. And I'm here to point out the E is critical in STEM. We like to say there's no E in STEM because the children and high school students aren't trained in engineering, and we're trying to pump up the awareness of the E in STEM.
I see. You know, Elenora, you're a biomedical engineer?
Yes, biomedical.
Biomedical, you know, we have civil engineers, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, but this is a biomedical engineer. What is a biomedical engineer?
Well, biomedical engineering is a specialized field. We are a hodgepodge of different disciplines, mechanical engineering, chemical engineering, and also bioengineering. And you just put that all together and you make biomedical engineering.
Biomedical engineering, interesting, interesting. So you see that out there we have a structural engineer, a biomedical engineer, and we're going to talk about Engineering Week. And Bob, what is Engineering Week?
Engineering Week is a week-long celebration of the engineering profession. It always takes place during the week of George Washington's birthday. Not President's Day, but his official birthday. And this year it will be celebrated February 16th through the 22nd. And it dates back actually to 1951, but it really got going here in Chicago in the 1980s. And we have a week-long celebration on the celebration of engineering with a lot of activities for children, grade school students, high school students. And if the parents come along, they'll get a better appreciation of how engineers have changed our world.
Interesting. And you know, Engineering Week, the women are very involved in Engineering Week.
Yes, definitely.
Right. And then what group do you belong to, Elenora?
The Society of Women Engineers.
Society of a Women Engineer. And who are they and what do they do?
Yes. So we're a society of women activists who say that we really want to promote engineering, especially for middle school and high school girls. We feel that, you know, those girls maybe don't really know what engineering is, or they don't know what it's all about, and we feel like if we have female engineers come over and kind of promote what engineering is all about, that they most likely will go into engineering as a field of study in college.
Excellent. Now, when you say middle school, what grade are they?
We start as early as 6th grade, and we
grade?
go all the way to senior year of high school.
Interesting. You know, my granddaughter is in 3rd grade.
Okay.
Do you have a program for those type of grades?
I don't think right at the moment, but I know that some of our outreach activities younger children can go into, like for E-Week, for example, we had younger kids come out last year and play with our PlayDoh circuits. That was our event that year.
Interesting. I'm glad to see women are being more involved because they're taking over, and they should. We should encourage everyone to participate in Engineering Week or Engineering Month. I mean, it starts in January, right, Bob? Yeah. You know what? We have a lot of different programs for Engineering Week, but it's really starts in the middle of January and runs through the whole month of February, correct? Bob?
Correct, and it keeps on going actually into March, and then there's other events throughout the year.
Yeah, and on the screen right now, we show all the different events. And the first one, I think, might be Future Cities.
Well, Future City is a design competition for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students where they have to design a city of tomorrow, first on a computer, and then physically build a model of the city. And every January, it's coming up January 18th, we will judge those models, and the students have to defend the design of the city.
Sure.
This year, the focus will be on clean water.
Clean water?
On the design of the city.
Yeah. And then, and now you have a special program too, right? During Engineering Week?
Yes.
Yeah, explain that and where that's going to be held at.
Yeah, so it's going to be in the IIT Stem Expo.
IIT Stem
IIT.
Expo. Oh, IIT.
Yes. And it's in DuPage, correct?
Yep, February 22nd.
Yes. Oh. And so last year what we did was, we were building circuits out of Play-Doh. So a lot of people, they really liked that event, and they couldn't believe that they can make Play-Doh and actually put circuits together.
Circuits out of Play-Doh? Oh, interesting.
So we have a conductive Play-Doh, and then we had a white Play-Doh that was kind of like an insulator. And what happened was we had these LED lights, and they made it could be a caterpillar, it could be a butterfly, or they made different things with the Play-Doh. And then they just completed the circuit by putting lights up, and it would actually glow when you hook up a battery.
That sounds exciting. And that was for the Society of Women Engineers.
Yeah.
And you had predominantly all girls in middle school, and what other ages you said?
I think there were some boys that came as well in that DuPage Expo. Yeah. But all of our volunteers, they were part of SWE, and we were all women.
All women. Yeah. And now the group that you belong to, they're what? They're civil, mechanical, electrical, all different types
all
of engineers?
disciplines. Yes.
All disciplines there. That's now. Can any of the kids join your group? You know, the school, become a member.
Yeah. So
explain that. How could the girls?
So the best way to get involved with SWE is, see in your high school, especially if you have a SWE Next Club.
A SWE, a Society of Women Engineers.
Yeah,
SWE.
Next Club. Yes, SWE and then Next Club.
Okay.
And what that is we have different activities, and that's kind of run by our society level, so like US SWE. And what the girls do is a couple different activities, and maybe we could have a speaker or something come depending on how you want to run your activity in the high school. But that is the best way to get involved in school, to start your SWE Next Club and do different activities with different disciplines within your school.
That's good.
Yeah.
Bob, I see more, the president of our agency is a female. Yeah. and she has a chemical engineering degree.
Okay, yeah.
See, and so if a young girl wants to learn engineering, there's what? Mechanical, electrical, industrial, civil, nuclear, biomedical. I mean, all kinds that a young girl could start learning to see what she wants to do in life. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
And even help society. Because look at what you're doing in biomedical engineering, right? You're helping society. Explain what you do in your field of biomedical.
Yeah, so I currently work at a company called ICU Medical, and we are strictly a medical device company. And what we do is we just develop medical devices in the IV solutions sector. And I guess when I first got started, I was a product development engineer, and that's usually what you consider working as an engineer is. Maybe sitting down, working on SolidWorks and kind of developing. I worked at a small spinal manufacturer. So we were developing spine implants and instrumentation.
Yes.
So at that job, you know, I was working with SolidWorks, but that's when I really got into another discipline, which was regulatory affairs.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great field in terms of, you know, medical device engineering, because they need someone with a technical background, especially in biomedical engineering, to kind of do that regulatory discipline.
Yeah, that's good. That's excellent. So you see, girls, what you could do? Well, what Elenora is doing, biomedical engineering. There. Now, Bob, why is it so important to have Engineering Week?
It's to bring an awareness to the public of how we've changed our world and to attract the next generation of students to think about engineering as a career. When I was growing up in the 60s, we were all over the news because we were going to the moon. And we were constantly on the news with the astronauts and the new technologies that we were being developed. And if I may say so, lately we've kind of lost the interest in the impetus of interest of engineering, with possibly the exception of Elon Musk. And just what, yesterday you had the launch of the Starlight or whatever, satellite, or a new capsule.
Yes.
But to me, the interest and the emphasis on to the students on STEM careers has been not waning, but is not really out there.
I see.
So we're trying to show to the public how much engineering impacts their life. Like I've said to people, you turn away engineering, we're back to the Stone Age.
I think now STEM. Explain STEM.
Okay.
Each word.
Science, technology, engineering, and math.
Math. So explain science now.
Okay, science, there's a great expression, science discovers the world as it is.
Okay, yes.
Engineers create the world that never was. So the engineers take what the scientists have and create all these great products, new inventions. The technology aspect of the now is all this computer stuff, and then the math is the underpinning of so much of the science and engineering. It's the foundation for engineering careers is math.
Yeah, and that's why we have Engineering Week, that a lot of different activities going to be included in this week, or maybe the month of middle of January and the full of
January, February, even into March.
Into the March.
And
yes.
then there's even actually a couple events that take place in the summer.
Yeah.
ComEd has their Icebox Derby, where you'll love this, the girls race refrigerators, recycled refrigerators. And that's just specifically dedicated to young girls racing these refrigerators.
Yeah.
And then IIT, in I think usually in July, has the young children build a whole city out of Legos.
Interesting, that's good. And then what's the AAAEA?
Okay, the Arab engineers for the last several years have been hosting a poster essay competition where middle grade and early high school, 9th and 10th grade, have to write an essay on a famed engineer.
Yeah.
And those essays get graded, and they pick the winning essays, and they get to go to the big, huge Engineers Week banquet. This year, actually, it'll take place February 28th.
Yeah.
And it's a big banquet, and we honor a famed engineer at the banquet, and we honor a lot of exceptional students at the banquet, including the Future City, the IIT Bridge Contest winners, the first robotics, and then the poster essay students.
A lot of activity. Also, you have a Girls' Day at Argonne National Laboratory.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, is that your group sponsoring that, or is that another group?
That's actually, I think, run by the Argonne Lab.
Argonne
but always the Thursday during Engineers Week is dedicated to Engineering Girls' Day.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of Girls' Day events throughout the country.
Yes.
But Argonne is the big one here in Chicago.
Yeah, and Argonne is well known throughout the world.
Yeah.
For their research that they do. Also, you have, as we mentioned, the Society of Women Engineers. You have your event going. And also, we have the huge IIT STEM Expo in Wheaton. Also, we have the CAC. What is CAC?
Chicago Architectural Center.
Chicago Architectural Center.
Chicago reveres their architecture,
Yes, yes.
but now during Engineers Week, they point out how the engineers have created our famed architecture. So they have a dedicated event during Engineers Week on this year it'll be the 22nd and the 23rd at their corporate headquarters downtown at 111 111 East Wacker.
East Wacker.
And the engineers will be there showing the engineers' contribution to Chicago architecture.
Yes, because we have a lot of architectural buildings here in Chicago that were designed here and implemented throughout the world.
Yeah. And also the Chicago engineers are designing the buildings throughout the world.
Yeah. Very few people know that I'm one of the commissioners at the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District of Greater Chicago. And when we reversed the river, over 100 years ago, the same design and the equipment and the people involved, they went over and built the Panama Canal at that time.
Yeah.
Also, when we did the deep tunnel here in Chicago for helping the flooding and pollution, they used that same equipment to do the channel from England to France. So, and also the structural engineer that did the Hancock building, the design there, they use that same design throughout the world also. So Chicago is well known for studying different type of architectural design, structural design, any type of engineering.
Electronics. The cell phone was invented here.
Right, started here in Chicago. And that's why we want to make Chicago, through our STEM program, through our engineering month, this is Chicago, and that's why we want our kids to know about Engineering Week, to participate in any type of engineering. If they're a boy or a girl, we want them to learn. And that's why Elenora is here to promote the young girls. Right, Elenora?
Yes.
And it's very important for them.
Also, we have we're targeting the other minorities. During Engineers Week, the Black engineers host a program.
The Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers.
Engineers have programs.
So we want everyone to get involved and make it a better world. Right, Elenora?
Yeah, definitely agree.
A better world. And how long have you been in the Society of Women Engineers?
Oh, wow. So I actually got started when I went to Purdue University.
Oh, Purdue? Okay.
For my biomedical engineering degree. They have a very big and active society in the collegiate society over there. So I started my journey there as the newsletter editor. So what we were trying to do was kind of promote all of our events and seeing different outlets and getting people involved, everyone involved within campus for our events. So that was a pretty fun thing to do. And then after that, I was the E-Week chair there. And so Purdue is...
you're actively involved.
Yeah. Purdue's really known for getting involved in Engineers Week, and we do it for the whole week. We do like little events, and then what we did that year was kind of like a semi-formal dance per se, just to celebrate all the disciplines within engineering. So we had like little booths where people can go and see what chemical engineers do, what mechanical engineers do, biomedical engineers, and we had little activities and also like in a dance setting. So that was a pretty fun event, and I think over 1,000 people actually came to that event.
1,000 people?
Yeah. So both students, and we did have some people within the greater West Lafayette, Indiana area come there as well.
You know, how did you, as a little girl growing up, were you interested in grammar school, or did your father or mother were involved in engineering? How did that happen at a young age that you wanted to become an engineer?
Actually, the funny thing is I always wanted to be a news anchor.
A news anchor?
Yeah. But, you know, especially in the 2000s, I was kind of like 8 or 9 years old. I saw Tom Brokaw talk about like the new heart monitor that was on there, the Abacor heart, and how they were implanting it and all of these new innovations in the medical field. And that's when I really got interested in that. And I asked the question, do I really want to give the news out there, like present the news, or should I make the news?
Very important.
So that's why I really wanted to get into engineering there. And to your point about my family, my brother is actually an aerospace engineer. So I also heard about Purdue University. He went to that school as well, and engineering in general from him. And yeah, and my family has been really supportive, so I was really blessed that I have parents that were supportive of me, and they said, you know, continue with your studies, math and science, and you can go a long way.
And Bob, that's why it's so important for us engineers, for all of us engineers, that here Elenora was blessed because she had a family that supported her. She saw on TV where Broadcast had that new device, and you're very interested in it. And that's why we, as engineers here in the Chicagoland area, maybe throughout the United States, to have people, young kids, know what an engineer does and different type of engineers, right, Bob?
Yep.
What do you think about it? It's very important for us to help society.
Well, so one thing is to create an awareness of what we do and how you impact your life. Like Commissioner Avila, you know, with regards to the recycling of the water, how important it is for us is to recycle water.
Well, water is life.
And what the Water Reclamation District, with the work that they do. As you and I know, I ask the kids, you know, when you flush the toilet, where does the water go?
Right. And no, you know, Bob, I'm glad you mentioned that, because we are the #1 and #2 agency in the world. Just think of that, the #1 and #2. We have 7 wastewater plants. 1 is the largest in the world. 3 are considered the largest in North America, and we're right here in Cook County. And we are the expert in treating wastewater, and that's why we're the #1 and #2. You want to know why, Illinois, we're the #1 and #2 agency in the world?
Why?
Just think of that, the #1 and #2, because we treat poop and pee. #1 and #2. When you flush that toilet, it comes into our plant and we treat it. And at the end, we turn that into fertilizer.
Again, that's to make the public aware of how the engineering behind all of that.
And it takes scientists to do it, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, every type of engineers to do what we do. See, and so that's why Bob has mentioned awareness. We want to make the people aware of what we do in Cook County and the things that we design that is used throughout the world. Right, Bob? Awareness.
Right. And then, like you were just mentioning with regards to Chicago architecture and engineering, the world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa, that was designed by Chicago architects and Chicago engineers.
Yes.
The current building that's under construction in Saudi Arabia, the Jeddah Tower, again, Chicago architects and Chicago engineers.
And also, we have architects now that are dealing with the environment. We have top architects that are designing buildings to protect the planet, and they do it in an environmentally safe design. Bob. So.
Yes. You know, the emphasis on now environmentally friendly buildings. And a lot of that technology is coming out of Chicago, and people just, again, don't realize the emphasis that the engineers are in terms of solving our environmental problems.
Yes. Now, Elenora, would you go and talk to schools about how they could get involved in the Society of Women Engineers?
Yes, that's definitely part of our outreach. We have a high school chair.
High school chair?
Yes, and also a middle school chair. So so we actively go out to greater Chicago area high schools and middle schools, and we either do a small activity with the kids, or we have some professionals come in there and talk about what they do, their discipline, maybe their journey of what they had in their college or university that they went to.
And then they could just look up Society of Women Engineers?
Yes.
And you have a web page, right?
Yes. So the Society of Women Engineers, we have like a main page, which I think it's www.SWE.org. And we also have a Chicago regional section. And I'm actually part of both, but yeah, we also have a Chicago regional section who we're actively within the Chicagoland area, going to or making outreach events and kind of pushing our mission for girls as well as guys as well, to know what engineering is all about, what we do, what types of jobs you can be as an engineer, etc.
Well, that's excellent, because Bob will also go out and talk.
Well, we do a lot of what the key one is the IIT Stem Expo. People don't realize, with minimal publicity, the last event drew 2,000 people.
2,000 people?
And then I just recently did one at Palatine Library. With minimal publicity just to the local community, we had 1,800 people at the Palatine Library STEM Fair. And throughout the area, there's all kinds of STEM fairs, STEM events. You just have to either watch your newspapers if they publish it, or just Google STEM in Chicago, check out some of the websites that you saw. And a lot of the libraries, Fermi Lab has a program, and another women's program that you didn't mention.